what kind of throne do you think the king will have? Mm. You guess. I'll figure it out.
The pup lay in her den, exhaustion finally pulling her into sleep. Her dream came vividly, warmth radiating through her fur as sunlight bathed her in golden light. She felt calm, as though all the burdens she carried had melted away. The grass beneath her was soft and inviting, and for the first time in what felt like forever, she didn't feel the urge to run or hide. She stretched out, savoring the stillness. But then something poked her side, interrupting her peace. She shifted slightly, trying to escape the disturbance, but the poking persisted, more deliberate now. Her peaceful dream began to blur at the edges. With a low grumble, she opened her eyes, blinking groggily.
What?
She started, her voice trailing off as her gaze landed on Cloud, sitting quietly near her. She flinched back slightly, startled but not alarmed.
Cloud, what are you doing here?
Cloud tilted his head, his expression calm but serious.
Can we talk?
He asked, his voice even. She blinked again, shaking off the last remnants of sleep.
Talk right now.
She asked, her confusion plain. She shifted into a sitting position, her tail curling loosely around her paws.
Yes.
Cloud said simply.
I need to talk to you.
Something in his tone made her pause. She nodded cautiously, lowering her head slightly.
All right, we can talk.
Cloud settled across from her, his golden eyes reflecting the faint light. He seemed hesitant at first, his ears flicking back briefly as though searching for the right words.
I've been thinking a lot.
He began, his voice quiet but carrying an edge of vulnerability.
I don't want to be like Wolfgang, always angry. It doesn't help anyone, and it doesn't make anything better. I've been angry at you too, but Shade's been teaching me that mistakes happen and that they're a part of learning.
Her ears flattened slightly, her heart pounding as she listened. There was something different in his tone, something raw, almost pleading. It made her sit a little straighter. Cloud took a breath, his gaze steady but filled with a kind of weight that seemed too much for a wolf his age.
If I can make mistakes,
He continued,
then I guess it's fair to understand that you can make them too, even big ones, and because of that, I'm willing to forgive you. I'm willing to give you another chance.
Her breath hitched, but she stayed silent, sensing that he wasn't finished.
I need to trust that you'll try to be better.
He said, his voice softening but still firm.
I've been angry for so long, but I've realized something. Mistakes don't define us. What we do after them, that's what matters, and I want to believe you're ready to keep trying.
His words hung in the air, heavy and unshakable, as his golden eyes searched hers for any sign of understanding. Finally, she nodded, her voice steady despite the tremor in her chest.
Cloud, I won't promise I won't make mistakes. That's not something I can guarantee.
She said softly.
Winter's made sure I understand that mistakes are what I do best. And I've made enough of them to know I'll probably make more.
She paused, her ears flicking back.
But I will promise this. I'll keep trying, I'll keep learning. And maybe one day, I'll stop making the same ones.
Cloud's expression softened, and for the first time, she saw a flicker of relief in his eyes.
That's all I'm asking.
He said quietly. For a moment, the tension that had hung between them for so long seemed to dissolve. The pup felt something shift within her, something she hadn't dared to feel in a long time. The possibility of growth and renewal. The morning sunlight crept into the disgraced pup's den, its warmth brushing over her fur. She stirred, blinking herself awake, the weight of yesterday's emotions still lingering in her chest. The words from Wolfgang and Cloud played on a loop in her mind. She wasn't sure what to make of it all, but one thing was certain. She needed to keep moving forward. A sharp bark shattered her thoughts. It wasn't Winter's usual tone, nor Wolfgang's commanding growl. Curious and slightly wary, She stuck her head out of the den. Standing there was a wolf with a mixed coat of brown and gray. Briar, one of the pack's patrol leaders.
Pup, you're with my patrol.
Briar said, her voice calm but firm.
Get your legs under you. We've been waiting for you to roll out of that den. Move.
The pup stammered, scrambling to her paws and darting out to join Briar. Before she could apologize, Briar's tone sharpened.
If you break my rules, I'll make sure you're never assigned to one of my patrols again. I need wolves who will follow orders. Step out of line, and wolves could die. Do you understand?
The pup nodded furiously, her tail low.
Yes, Briar.
Good. Keep up.
As they reached the camp's entrance, the rest of the patrol was already gathered. Pine and Cinder, two Omega wolves, stood to the side, their eyes alert. Pine's sandy coat caught the sunlight, and his posture was relaxed but ready. Cinder, with her pale silver fur, seemed calm and composed. The pup caught Winter's cold gaze as he stood at the rear, his expression unreadable as always. Briar scanned the group.
We're heading to the northern border. Stay sharp. Pine, Cinder, you know your roles. If anything happens, you're the messengers. The rest of us will handle it. Let's move.
The patrol set off at a brisk pace, their paws drumming against the ground in unison. The pup fell in next to Winter, who gave her a sidelong glance.
Still struggling to leave your den on time, I see.
He said, his tone cold but not harsh.
You'll need to fix that. One day, you might not have someone come and fetch you.
Yes, Winter.
She muttered, keeping her head low. As they ran, the territory unfolded around them. The pack's land was vast, marked by natural boundaries. They passed the elder tree, its sprawling roots and thick canopy a familiar sight. Pine barked softly.
Keep your ears sharp around here. Sometimes prey hides near the roots.
Further along, they skirted the edge of Crescent Creek, the shallow water glinting in the sunlight. Cinder nudged the pup lightly.
The creek's more than just a water source,
She said.
It's also one of our borders. If you ever smell something unfamiliar here, call it out immediately.
The pup nodded, her ears pricking at every sound. She glanced at Briar, who moved with a commanding presence, her eyes scanning the surroundings constantly.
Don't fall behind.
Briar barked.
We're nearing the Howling Stones and I don't want anyone wandering.
The Howling Stones came into view, jagged and imposing against the sky. The wind whistled through them, creating an eerie sound that had always unnerved the pup. Briar slowed the group.
Scent check.
She ordered.
Spread out. Report anything unusual.
The pup hesitated, unsure of where to go. Cinder stepped in again, her tone patient.
Try the ridge over there. It's a good spot for picking up faint scents.
She padded over to the ridge, her nose low to the ground. The smells of earth, grass, and old markings filled her senses. Then, faintly, she caught something strange. She paused, her heart racing. Was it?
Speak up.
Pine called, his voice firm but encouraging.
What do you smell?
She swallowed hard, her ears flicking nervously.
It's faint, but it doesn't smell like one of us.
Briar approached swiftly, her nose working the air. She nodded after a moment.
Good catch. It's old, but worth noting.
She marked the ground with a paw.
Let's keep moving.
The pup felt a small flicker of pride as the patrol continued. Winter's sharp gaze lingered on her briefly before he turned his attention forward. No words of encouragement came, but none of his usual criticism did either. She took it as a sign she might be doing something right. The patrol returned to camp, their paws weary but steady after the long sweep. Briar paused at the camp's entrance, her sharp eyes scanning the territory as if to double-check everything was still in order.
So what kind of throne
She
do
turned
you
to
think
the
king
disgraced
will
pup,
have?
her voice calm but firm.
Good work today. You followed every
Yes,
order,
fine.
even scented a
I'll
rogue
figure it out.
wolf. It's been so long that it must have only been passing through.
Her tone shifted, almost as if she were speaking more to herself than to the pup.
Still, I'll double the morning patrol and inform the Eastern Patrol to keep an eye out.
The pup dipped her head low, not daring to meet Briar's gaze, unsure if she was meant to respond. But before she could overthink, Briar added,
For now, I'll leave you to your mentor.
Then, to the pup's astonishment, Briar turned and bowed her head respectfully to Winter. The disgraced pup blinked in surprise. Seeing a wolf like Briar, strong, confident, and an alpha, bow to Winter stirred a curious feeling within her. She had grown so used to Winter's cold demeanor and relentless criticism that she sometimes forgot how deeply respected he was within the pack. It made her wonder about the depth of Winter's standing and why he carried himself with such calm authority. Winter, as always, gave nothing away. His expression remained unreadable, his gaze steady. He simply inclined his head slightly to Briar, an acknowledgement of her respect. Then he turned his sharp eyes to the disgraced pup.
We're late.
He barked.
Let's go. We need to feed the new lights and the tender paws.
The pup snapped to attention, bowing her head quickly before scurrying to follow. Her paws carried her to the pile of freshly brought meat, where she carefully picked out pieces suitable for the expecting mothers. As she worked, her mind raced. She thought of Briar's bow, of Winter's unwavering presence, and of her own role within the pack. She had done well today, better than she had in moons. Yet, there was still a weight on her chest, a lingering doubt about her place here, whether she could ever truly rise above her mistakes. Winter's voice broke through her thoughts.
Don't dawdle.
He said sharply, though there was no true bite to his words.
The mothers need their meals.
Yes, Winter.
She replied quickly, gathering the chosen pieces and making her way toward the mother's den. The sight of the expecting mothers, their bodies heavy with new life, gave her pause. She felt a flicker of something. Pride, perhaps? Or maybe it was hope. She didn't know. But for the first time in a long while, she felt she was contributing to something meaningful.